There we go. This is a regular monthly meeting of the Princeton Historic Preservation Commission held electronically via Zoom on March 20th, 2023 at 4 p.m. Pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the time and place and agenda of this meeting has been transmitted to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, the Times, Trentonian, and by filing a copy with the clerk of Princeton, who has posted it to the municipal website, www.princetonnj.gov/meetings. And I get to skip all the other stuff. No, I think there's another thing about no hate speech and no bad behavior and no Zoom bombing, but I'll skip that. Do you want to take the roll, Elizabeth?
Yes. Ms. Satterfield? Mr.
Not yet.
Shatskin?
Here.
Ms. Howard?
Here.
Mr. Pyle? Just so everyone knows, Mr. Pyle is trying to get on, and someone could send him the Zoom link. Mr. Endersby?
I'm here.
Ms. Lewandowski?
Here.
Ms. Friedman?
Here.
Mr. Shore?
Present.
Ms. Capizzoli?
Here. Great. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let's see, announcements. So did anyone send Tom the link? Because I guess he's having trouble.
I
just
sent it
did.
to him.
Oh,
Oh,
he got
thank
two.
you.
He'll get
Thank you. That's wonderful. How about you, Elizabeth?
I do have a few announcements. One which I forgot to mention last month, where the New Jersey Alliance for Action on February 16th awarded the Witherspoon Street Improvements Phase 1 design team for their contributions. The award was for the New Jersey Leading Capital Construction Project, and who were attendees were T&M, who were the consultants, Princeton Engineering, and the Historic Preservation Commission was recognized for their contributions to the project as well. Committee member Frida Howard was in attendance along with myself, Mayor Frida, our administrator, and the engineering department. So congrats to all HPC members on that. And then the second announcement I want to make is some of us were honored to be able to attend our awards luncheon on March 16th by the Habitat for Humanity to recognize and honor special companies, organizations, and individuals for their outstanding contribution to them. And our own Edwin Schmier was awarded the esteemed David McAlkin Humanitarian Award from Habitat for Humanities of South Central New Jersey, which was a very well-earned award. And as HPC members, we've always been honored to have him for so long as we have, where he has been a wonderful guiding light and commands a voice of reason, and many times when things are a little bit out of control. So we always appreciate having him, and the event was very well attended, and Ed was supported by 2 full tables, who were there to congratulate him and thank him for his service.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, that was a great gathering, really wonderful cause. Habitat for Humanity is an outstanding organization, and we're so lucky to have the house on Lytle Street. We were able to sit with Wanda, who lives there, and we just had a great time. Really fun. David.
I just wanted to say that getting ready for the Historic Preservation Conference later this year, they've been talking about what Princeton does really well. And I said that I think what we do really well is we have the support to have an attorney work with us. And it's the same attorney for, I think, the entire time I've been on the commission. And I think that makes a huge difference. And
Goes back to 1987.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's before I was on. Yep. So thank you. Thank you. We like that guiding hand.
We sure do. No, it was a great gathering and a really lovely event. And Ed's wife Pamela was there too. So it was very nice.
And thank you for coming.
So we have 3 resolutions. The first one is 33 Lee Avenue, which is, again, we have to do that for the demolition part of the application. So if there's no changes, is there a motion to approve the resolution for 33 Lee Avenue?
I move to approve.
Oh, thanks, Christine. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Roger. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Now, we have a second resolution for 52. Yeah, oh, sorry, Elizabeth.
Yes, Shirley can't get on. Could someone send her a link to the meeting? She says she's been trying for a while. She says, I heard people clapping, but I didn't know what it was about.
I can send it to Shirley.
Thank you, Frida.
Thanks, Frida. Then we could all have Frida's name. We could all be Frida Howard. We could have like 9 Frida Howards. All right, so I don't think Shirley would mind missing this part. So the second resolution is for 52 Ayrton Road. That's the one with the sunroom where they're gonna demolish it and rebuild it. So anyway, if there are no changes or corrections, oh, you got to change, Christine. Go ahead.
Yes, it's actually in 3 places. The resolution refers to Old Ayrton Road Historic District, and before old should be Donald G. Herring Estate - Old Ayrton Road Historic District, and it's mentioned 3 times, so it should be changed on all 3 times. It's just a technicality, but we can't forget that it was the Donald Herring Estate that made this possible in the first place. You know, that's the reason why we had a designation in the first place. So,
All right, good point. Okay. If there are no other changes or corrections, would someone like to make a motion to approve the resolution? David?
Yep.
Thank you. Is there a second? Oh, Charlotte, thank you. All right.
I
Yes, Christine.
think that Charlotte cannot do that because there are.
Oh,
six-
because we have a quorum? Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. I
Oh,
thought about
that's-
it as I was like.
That's okay. Well, how about you, Christine? Okay. So it was moved by David, seconded by Christine. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
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 Okay. Opposed?
We're all
Okay,
Frida.
motion-
We can all vote, right?
Gosh.
All right, motion carried. Thank you. The third part is the Revolution, New Jersey material. And Elizabeth, I saw there were 2 things. One of the copies is going to the council, or it did go to the council.
So the first resolution is HPC support. And I believe that the second is a draft resolution that we would like the mayor and council to adopt as well. So
Oh,
it was
okay.
drafted up that way.
Okay, well, I mean, I thought I thought they both looked fine. So, and And does anyone know if, is Leighton coming or maybe?
Hey,
he's-
Shirley. Welcome.
Hi,
Hey, Shirley.
I didn't hear that he wasn't coming.
Let's see, is that,
What's that noise?
I don't think that's me. Do you know, Elric, do you think that's your computer?
Um,
I think it was when
There's a
Shirley-
breeze here, but there's no noise that I'm aware of.
Try to mute yourself and see if it turns off.
Yeah, let's all mute and see.
I'll put mute on.
Okay,
World's
find
fast
it.
typist.
all right. I'll take,
Go on.
Shirley, I think it was when Shirley came on, it did that. There.
okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, maybe something's on the keyboard, something like that. Anyway. So do you, let's see, I know Elizabeth's on the phone. But are there any comments or suggestions regarding either the resolution for the Historic Preservation Commission or the draft for the council? I mean, they both look fine to me. And it's just to support Revolution New Jersey. So it's not all that complicated. So Elizabeth, I have a question. So do you think we can just pass both the resolutions at once, or?
Ed, what do you think?
Well, Julie, the only resolution I think you should adopt would be the board resolution, which recommends the draft resolution, which I've also given you, so that we can send both over to council. So it'd be just a
Okay.
motion to adopt the board resolution and recommending the attached resolution, and Elizabeth can send that to the clerk and they could put that on the agenda.
That sounds great. All right, so.
Yeah, no, the council might want to make changes. That's their prerogative.
Right, right. So by adopting this resolution, we are, by doing that, recommending that they look at their draft resolution and deal with it how they want to. So given that, is there a motion to approve the draft resolution for the Historic Preservation Commission?
I'll
Yes.
vote for that. Are we talking about the longer one or the shorter one?
The shorter one, the one
the
that
shorter
says
one.
a resolution for the Princeton Historic Preservation Commission supporting Revolution New Jersey.
I'll move.
Okay. And so Tom made a motion. Is there a second? Shirley makes a second. Okay. All in favor?
Discussion, kindly, quick question.
Yes.
Is this an appropriate moment to then make a comment about the longer resolution and what we might recommend this to be as we pass the shorter resolution covering this?
Sure.
So may I suggest, if in the resolution number 3 of the longer resolution, we conclude by saying very heartfully, understanding the revolution continues today as we uphold the revolutionary ideals articulated in our founding documents. Yes, and honor the contributions made to the formation of the country since then by all of our various constituent groups in more artful language that will resonate with contemporary sensibilities. my thought here is to just throw up a little shout out to all of our various constituencies, historic and modern, who have played a role in not only forming the country, but advancing the country in the light of the spirit and the letter of the founding documents. Did I make that clear? I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I want to echo that because I was on a walking tour with a history professor who's emeritus from Princeton University, highly recognized, very well-known historian. His name is Dan Rogers. And I mentioned the statistics about how many African American and Native American and American Indian soldiers there were participating in the Revolutionary War. And he actually wasn't aware of that. And later on, challenged me when I said that, and later on emailed me and said that actually I was right. And this is something that he hadn't known about. And the reason I said something was because of Revolution, New Jersey. So I think it's really interesting that they're bringing forward the idea that there were actually both African Americans and American Indians participating at a pretty high number in those battles we're talking about.
It is well known that at Princeton Battlefield, there's notation on a plaque inside the Clark House, which references a soldier named Orange, who was a free Black who fought at that battle. So the intention of my amendment is not to get overly specific and thus balkanize this effort, but simply to lay up an acknowledgement, as I think is appropriate, not only to honor, to uphold, correct that language, to uphold the ideals of our revolutionary documents, but also to honor the participation and the contribution of all community groups in various ways in the foundation and advancement of our great nation.
That's well put. Thank you. All right, so appreciate that. And again, yeah, it was motion made by Tom, seconded by Shirley. I guess we could do a roll call vote for this one.
Can I just kindly clarify, and then perhaps I'm asking this a bit, is that formulation suitable for our purposes here to amend the proposed longer resolution that we're voting to authorize by our shorter resolution?
Absolutely. And
Okay.
I'll add that language to the end. But as Roger said, it will be up to the council to
Okay,
shape its own resolution.
yeah, of course.
This is certainly what you can recommend, and I
Yes.
have that language.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll do roll call. Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Satterfield? She says.
She's got her hand up.
It's not working. Yes. Mr. Pyle,
High five.
Ms. Friedman,
Yes.
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Cheskin?
can I make a
Yes,
point?
Yes,
Both myself and Charlotte cannot vote on this because there's a full complement of the board.
okay, thank you.
Apologies. Mr. Endersby,
Yes.
Mr. Shore,
Yes.
Ms. Capizoli.
Yes. Thank you so much. And thank you for those suggestions. I thought this was really interesting. We only have one application today.
Wow,
Madam Chair, could you
it's gonna be a happy hour
mention
early
to the
today.
What's that?
Could you
Elizabeth?
mention to the public that the 29 Lila Street will not be heard today?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. For anyone listening, 29 Lytle Street will not be heard today because the applicant requested to be put on the April schedule because they had some documents that were incomplete. So the April meeting, I believe, is on the 17th.
Yes, that's correct.
So we apologize, but this was at the request of the applicant. So that being said, our next application is 302 John Street, which is a new addition on in the Witherspoon Jackson Historic District. And I just want to make sure everybody, oh, I see Ron. Ron's here. Ron, is there anyone else who needs to come over?
Yes, we brought the applicant over as well.
Okay, great. All right, thanks for coming. Elizabeth, do you want to briefly go over your report, and then I'll let Ron go from there?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
since this is going to be an official approval, if it's approved by the board, let me swear in Elizabeth, the applicants, and Mr. Berlin. Do you all swear that the testimony you're about to give is truthful?
I do.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you. So the applicant Ronald Berlin, Architect PC, has filed an application for the Historic Preservation Plan review for the property owners, Evan Anderson and Andrea Dunham, for a partial building demolition to construct a rear addition and other improvements to the existing house and property. The site is identified as Block 6902, Lot 70 on the Princeton tax map, and further known as 302 John Street. In the former Township R9 zone, the property is located in the Witherspoon Jackson Historic District of the Municipal Zoning Overlay Map. The proposed application requires partial demolition of exterior walls and roof to implement the addition. Demolition notice to property owners within 200 feet of the property, 3 consecutive notices in the newspaper, and noticing on the property are required. And HPC's attorney, Mr. Schmier, has reviewed the submitted documents and find all notifications are in order, and HPC has jurisdiction to hear this application today. The applicant came before a concept review at HPC meeting on November 15th, 2021, for those of you who were here. And the application was well received. HPC did ask at that time that they return with formal application information detailing the porch replacement, restoration, lighting, and landscape. The zoning officer reviewed the submitted plans and determined that no variances are required. So the site contains approximately 0.08 acres. The property is located on the west side of John Street, north of Birch Avenue. The properties to its west, south, and southeast are in the Witherspoon Jackson Historic District. This property is actually the last property on John Street, on that section of the street that is in the district. Properties immediately north and east are municipal owned land, are not in the historic district. The municipal lots to the east is the municipal public works facility, and lands to the north is the parking lot serving Community Park South. This property is designated on Princeton's Historic Overlay District as Type 2. And in White's Preservation's Planning 2015 property inventory, they do identify the structure on the property and the property itself as contributing to the Witherspoon Historic District. The house on the property was built circa 1925. It's a simple rectangular shape, 2-story building with a hip roof over a full width covered front porch. Porch posts and railings are metal with concrete steps. The house is 2-bay with a front gabled roof. Windows are typically 1/1 replacements framed with vinyl shutters, except for the window under the front porch. The street facing front entry door and first floor window are centered on the elevation closer together than those windows on the upper floor above. Windows on the north elevation are symmetrically spaced and aligned with 3 windows on the first floor and 2 on the second. There are 3 windows on the south elevation, 2 on the first floor and 1 on the upper floor, which are positioned close to the end walls but are not symmetrically aligned. And the west rear elevation has a slight offset, slight off-centered back door and a single upper floor window close to the north wall. The house on the lot is situated close to the north property line with the gravel driveway off to the left side of the house. And for this neighborhood, considered a spacious side lot, yard. And I believe that this is probably a double lot because on Weiss Preservation's property, they call it, I think it's at 302, 304, 300, 302. So it is a double lot. So that's why it also has a larger side yard. So the owners wish to construct a two-story rear addition off the south side of the existing house and a one-story addition with a balcony off the southwest corner of the house. The addition will be approximately 530 square feet. Other improvements to the existing house, including replacing components of the front porch, relocating, replacing the entry door and window under the porch, select window replacements, and installing a new window on each floor of the remaining rear elevation.
I had a hard time getting in. I'm on
Sorry. In addition, the house siding will be replaced to match the addition siding in cement board lap siding. The 3-tab asphalt shingles on the existing roof will remain, and the same will be added to the addition. Site improvements entail, so there's a correction here after the report was generated, that the plan that I was working on and the plan that was distributed for the packages are slightly different. On my plan, it shows that there is a new driveway that's being relocated, but the architect has clarified that the existing driveway will remain where it is. It'll just be shortened. In addition to other improvements, going to be a new planting design in front of the existing porch and a new AC condenser. So just some minor details about the addition and the balcony. The windows are going to be Marvin Elevate double hung windows, which are fiberglass. Marvin Elevate in-swing French doors, which are for the balcony. There's a Simpson Nantucket door. There is on the first floor, there will be windows which are grouped together with a bowl recess panel below each window, which will be painted. And wood brackets under the hip roof will be painted also. There is dimple sconce lighting, which I believe is proposed outside the deck. And cement parging for the new foundation and aluminum gutters and downspouts. And on the existing building, the improvements as previously discussed, the front entry door will be relocated. It'll be offset to the left side of the front facade, and the single window under the porch will be placed with a double window, which will pretty much be centered below the upper window. Several windows will be replaced, not all of them. There is a list in my report which talks about the ones on the east, south, and west elevation. And again, those will be replaced with Marvin Elevation double hung windows. The front door will be replaced with a wood 2-panel door with insulating safety glass above. And the fascia will be painted with, will be boral and painted. And the porch improvements, which was requested at the concept, there is a metal filigree porch column, which will replace with boral square columns. The balustrade will be cedar and painted. The bottom rail, the top rail, and handrail will be cedar and also painted. There'll be decorative porch brackets, which will be cedar and also painted. And all gutters and downspouts will be aluminum gutters and replaced. And there's a house scheme. And unfortunately, because we're Zoom, you can't see it. I'm happy to hold it up if you'd like to see it, but the hardy plank lap siding is going to be timber bark. The front and side door, which is going to be Tulsa Twilight in the Benjamin Moore color. The trim porch, including the porch brackets, will be River Gorge gray, and the Marvin Elevate windows will be stone white. So, I mean, to me, the color scheme seems very nice. Under the site improvements, again, the driveway will remain where it is. It will just be shortened. There will be new planting in front of the existing front porch, which are proposed with rhododendron and hydrangea, and the new AC condenser is set back a minimum of 5 feet off the rear property line and will be next to the shed. So just to go down to the comments now of the report, First, I just want to state that the office appreciates the placement, the appropriateness of it, the proportion and the design of the addition to the existing house and the relationship of building mass to the size of the lot. The proposed improvements are sympathetically designed and integrated to the existing house structure, neighborhood streetscape, and the Witherspoon Jackson Historic District. And it's also further noted and appreciated that the applicant came before HPC for a concept review. Now there's some questions. As I mentioned, the dimple sconces, I assume are for the balcony. And we just need that noted on the elevation drawing. The height of the lower roof of the addition and the new first floor window panels do not seem to relate that well to the height of the existing front porch or first floor windows, especially as you're viewing it from the East Street side. So that's something that maybe the commission would like to talk about. Perhaps they agree or don't agree. The site plan should include following information. There is a concrete patio there, so it's not known if it's existing or proposed, and that should be labeled. And B and C are obviously NA because the driveway is there, and the location of overhead utilities should show where it connects to the house. During concept review, we talked about addressing landscape and lighting, and the owner did state that landscape was being considered with shorter shrubs. So the hydrangea do come in some varieties that are shorter, but the rhododendrons really, they're pretty tall, and it would not take too long before it would kind of outgrow the space again, which I believe the applicant is trying to avoid. So we would recommend for them to look at alternate plant selections if they want to keep the hydrangea and look at something else for the rhododendron. The existing public sidewalk is located immediately at the street curb. It's recommended that 2 trees be planted near the public sidewalk as street trees. This was something that HBC has similarly asked for at 182, 184 John Street. And it's a good way to be able to introduce street trees to that section of the neighborhood. The plant material is shown on sheet A1, which is the first floor elevation. That really should be shown and included on the site plan. You can incorporate that and change that to site plan and landscape plan. And the plant material should be identified by botanical name, common name, the size that is going to be installed, and the quantity. So that can either be created as a table or it could be individual. And the applicant is also asked to address if there's going to be any new wall-mounted light fixtures in the new side entry door and where the new front door is being relocated. It is noted on sheet A-1, the floor plan, that there seems to be light ceiling fixtures in front of those 2 entrances. So we're just asked to address if that is the case, and if so, we would like the information about that. And then number 6 really is for the applicant to address. So I'm just going to leave that for them. And then the last thing is that if this application is approved, it's recommended that the following be said as conditions of approval, that any additional notes, detailed specifications identified in this report or that may be commented by HBC from their review, that revised drawings and documents be submitted to our office in triplicate form. The applicant should also be subject to the plan review and approval by the land use engineer for site grading and stormwater management practices if that's required. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I
Can I
guess,
ask a quick question for
Yes,
Elizabeth?
yes.
Elizabeth, can you just kindly briefly repeat what your comments were, please, about the hydrangea and the rhododendron?
So what I said is the 2 plant materials that's proposed are hydrangea and rhododendron. So the hydrangea does come in a lower variety height size, you know, but the rhododendrons are much larger. And so when the applicant came in for concept review, they had talked about plant material being lower, which was appropriate because obviously you don't want it to grow higher, at
Along
least
the
that
house.
much higher than your porch itself. So
Right.
I recommended for them to look at an alternate plant for the rhododendron to keep it
Oh.
to the height that would be appropriate.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, Ron, would you like to address Elizabeth's comments?
Sure. How do you all? Thanks for those comments, Elizabeth. Could I ask, could I sort of reintroduce my esteemed clients and just have them kind of tell you, this is all driven by human need, right? We architects like find physical form for that, but you might just want to have a little sense of, I think that what drove this has just disappeared from view, actually. But anyway, Evan and Annie, why don't you introduce yourselves and just very briefly talk about your place in the neighborhood, as it were.
Sure, happy to, Ron.
Hi.
This is Annie. I'm Evan. I have a short little statement I wanted to make. We've worked with Ron for now over 2 years on this project, and we just celebrated our 2-year-old's birthday, who you probably saw earlier on the video. Our modest addition that we're proposing for our growing family was certainly a labor of love, and we certainly look forward to formally sharing the design with you. As Elizabeth mentioned before, our house is situated in a really unique location next to the community park, the school, and the DPW prefab buildings and all the equipment storage. So we really see our house as the last bastion of the Jackson Witherspoon neighborhood. And we believe we're doing our part to kind of preserve the boundaries of it, as it were. We stressed with Ron early on that whether the HPC existed or not, our design vision would not have changed at all. The vision we had, that we had a strong desire to maintain the character of this neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, your neighborhood.
That's the sound of the human need.
What makes this neighborhood special to us, other than the people, of course, is the scale and orientation of the homes to the street. And looking back at the Township Commission report on this neighborhood that adopted it as a historic neighborhood, they talked about the neighborhood created a certain architectural rhythm, but otherwise none of the buildings, or not few of the buildings were architecturally significant. So we really cherish this neighborhood. So we're just inviting you to be a partner and an ally in this process. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For that. I guess, do I have the privilege of sharing screens?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, Elizabeth, I think Leighton is trying to get in from the attendees, okay? So go ahead, Ron.
Okay, let me see how I do this. Okay. And can you see that slide?
Not yet.
All right, let me. This may be not worth it. I'm trying to move my, hang on. Patience, there it comes. Sorry, folks.
It's okay.
I have 2 screens, you see, and I'm trying to, I can't do it. So let me do something else.
Sometimes Elizabeth can share.
Ah. Give me a moment.
It's not the colonnade behind David.
Here we go.
Oh. Okay, we see your screen.
I just can't get the darn thing over there. Hold on. You see, I have these images on one screen and I can't move it to the other.
Hmm.
Just give me another moment.
See the full photo now.
I'm moving it very gingerly.
But we can see the pictures pretty well.
The photographs?
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
yeah.
Better, probably better than I can then. There,
Or-
right?
Right, yeah, we can see them.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to take you around again. I'm sorry for that delay, folks. There's the house. It's really at the end of the line. This is the community playing fields parking area right next door to them. And that's a view of the house from the northeast. These are the existing plantings here that the owners wish to replace. They just don't like them. I guess it's a subjective point of view. And this is now looking a little bit farther up John Street. You can see it's quite a distance until you get another house along there. So this really is like the bastion at the very end of the line. Across the street, that's what they look at the front. It's the public works area. There's often a large truck idling here in the morning. They're okay with all that, but you might consider that a little bit when you talk about the plantings, because on the one hand, I think Evan and Annie want to be able to look out. On the other hand, they might deserve a little privacy too, and a little bit of a sense of screening. And so the taller rhododendron might not be such a bad thing, right? And then looking a little bit farther to the south and east, it's the community garden, which is kind of fun. But their house is really on its own out there. And there it is again. And here you see the existing driveway, a really dense existing screen of plantings. And the addition is back there. It's really recessed. It's at the end of the driveway, and they've done the choreography and have confirmed that they can get two cars in still comfortably in front of that addition with the shortened driveway. So I just wanted to show you those images.
Ron, can I ask you a quick question?
Anything.
So, can those two cars be behind the front of the house?
I don't think so. Evan, Annie, do you have a sense of where they'd end up?
One sec. I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean by behind the front of the house. Like, can
Behind the
they
front line.
pull in past?
The face of the building, yeah.
Well, we actually only have one car. That's my dad's car there. So when we only have the one car easily, with two cars in the shortened driveway, perhaps not.
Okay, I believe that they implemented this through the township as well within this district, that the former borough requirement was that parking could not be in front of the face of the house. So that's why I asked that. So I would probably have Ron or yourselves reach out to the zoning officer just to make sure. If you only have one car, then I'm sure that that's fine. But if you're gonna have to, just check with him.
Yeah, we only have one car, and one car it's easily behind the face of the house.
Okay. Any comments about these photographs before I take them down and reappear?
Yes, please. One quick one.
Please.
for the image of the house that looks upon the parking lot, who owns the fence between you and the community parking lot?
The town owns that fence.
The town owns it, okay?
Yeah, and that's on town property.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
Actually, I'll take a further question if I may. Do you have any in order to promote privacy for the house and shield it, as it were, against the rather industrial looking parking lot to your
I'm sorry, you can't
side?
hear this? Sorry, we are having a protester enter the meeting. Just give us 1 second. Can you repeat that?
Well, we prefer to think of him as a free speech advocate. I think my question is about any plans for taller trees that might screen the side of the house against the industrial parking lot that you have at the side of the house behind that fence. Yes. So there you have,
So,
right, exactly.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
so if I understand your question, along that fence,
Yeah, I'll draw you a kitty.
do we have any plans for that?
Well, I take note that you are looking at a very large expanse of macadam outside your side window there. And I wonder if that's a privacy concern for you or an aesthetic concern.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. We only own several feet in that direction from our house. So the vast majority of that area between the house and the fence is town property. So we would have to, you know, it's probably a more additional conversation.
Okay.
Sorry, I do also want to add privacy. I want to stress that it's a concern. We have we actually have a security camera mounted across the street that I presume is there to protect the heavy machinery that belongs to DPW. But it is angled at our house as well. And I would love to have a little bit of screening from that.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I didn't.
Yeah, that's a little relevant.
Another question, if I may, since we're on that part of the property. Do you have any security concerns? Are there any cars that are parking there late at night, or is there any nefarious activity occurring in that neighborhood on the parking lot next to your house?
I wouldn't call anything nefarious. It's just, I mean, people do park here because there's free parking, and on the weekends, you know, they might be loud or rowdy, but I don't think anyone is ill-intentioned or, you know.
No
The most air
partying, no
quotes-
marijuana smoking, no drug trading or whatever going on?
Not
in
that I've
the-
observed, but maybe I'm too oblivious. The main thing is, I mean, I would say littering is an issue. People, because there's no trash can by the parking lot, so people will just throw stuff kind of in our yard as they walk by.
Well, can I suggest that, so Leighton Newland is on our call here, and so he's hearing this, and if you have any concerns, you can contact Leighton. He's a council member.
We
And,
know Leighton, and we've talked, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we do know Leighton. We like him very much. We knew him before he was a council member. We're good.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm just saying for Tom, you know, we can focus on the application, and if they have like, you know, municipal issues, they can talk to Leighton about improvements, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we're just dreaming for a moment, imagine if the DPW was relocated to the other site that they have on River, is it River Drive?
Yeah,
Yeah.
River Road,
And
yeah.
the,
Yeah.
The slightly, I don't want to call us an official overburdened community, but perhaps if we addressed some social justice issues in our neighborhood with idling trucks, et cetera, driving down this small residential street next to an elementary school, might be a good idea.
Right? So, yeah.
I'm gonna
Sorry,
steer
digressing.
this back to
Yeah,
architecture.
good
Thank
idea.
Right.
Can I make a suggestion regarding your plantings? I know you're suggesting rhododendrons, and that they're tall and everything, but they get as wide as they are tall. And there are conifers you could use. They're very vertical. And I think in your first picture, Ron, there's the neighbor has some of those. They're evergreens, so you would have it year round. And you wouldn't have I know rhododendrons have flowers too, so you probably are trying to beautify it, but but I think they get pretty wide. And
They do. Rhododendrons are pretty slow growing and many of them are semi-evergreen as well. And the trees to the side are actually arborvitae, which are kind of there's a debate there between whether they're a shrub or a tree, but they're not the most robust plants.
there are some fast growing ones. I'm a gardener, so gardening for many, many, many years. There are many species you can buy. And if you speak to I'm not a professional gardener, but if you speak to a professional and explain what you want to do, and I do walk that area a lot. I walk the town a lot. I do a lot of walking, so I know your house. I know that area. I've never seen any issues there. To me, it's safe. I walk at all times of the day. So, but I think you should consider it at least because there is an issue because I walk so much around town. I almost want to walk with clippers and clip people's branches that are growing on the sidewalk. It's an issue. It's a problem. So I'm just, suggesting looking for something that's more vertical.
All right, well.
Thanks for that.
Let's before we focus on the landscaping, let's just make sure we're okay with the addition. I know we had this in concept review. I think everybody thought it was working very well. And I just want to make sure, any other suggestions, comments? Elric, what do you think?
Oh, I'm all in favor of it.
Great.
Yeah, I feel that Elizabeth introduced, I don't need to say anything. She's introduced this this building. It's super straightforward. Like in a way, it's kind of a dumb addition, but I kind of like it that way, like Holly. And it hasn't changed since concept review. So, if there's anything that you want to ask me about it, I'm here and happy to.
Okay, well, Christine has a question. Go ahead. You're on mute, Christine.
There you go.
Hi, Ron, how are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you, Christine?
I have two questions. The siding is going to be replaced, and I'm assuming on the whole house, correct?
Yes.
Do you have any idea what the original siding was or is? Like, is it under the, I guess it's aluminum siding?
Gee, did we look at this? Did we
There's,
look this and did we decide that it might have been stucco or stucco over old clapboard? Do you remember?
there's definitely stucco. We removed the siding to find the stucco. We didn't remove the stucco to see what was beneath it.
Yeah, often you'll find beneath the stucco, old wood clapboard,
Yes.
but we didn't take our explorations that deep. And I'm glad we didn't, because we would have had a vulnerable area for quite a while.
So the siding is going to be on top of the stucco.
That's very likely, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to get it right.
Yep.
And then I have a question about the doors. The front door is well, you have a storm door there, and so it's difficult to see what's there now. It looks like it's painted white.
Yeah,
That door is going into the back.
correct. Yeah,
And it has two panels and a clear, one pane window above it.
I can't quite remember. Hang on. You guys might remember, and I can't get to it for some reason.
I can just show you the door from the inside, which looks pretty much the same as it does from the outside.
Okay.
See, there it is.
Okay, all right, so that actually is the Nantucket, and that's going in the rear.
No, no, the existing front door is it's a wood door, right, guys? And that's going to be relocated to the kind of the mudroom kitchen entry.
Right, that's
Right.
what I meant. And
And-
then the new door that's going to be on the front is the Nantucket.
Yes, and it's a solid wood 2-panel door with a single light above.
A single, not, because it's shown on the Simpson Door Company spec sheet. It's got,
Yeah, you know, you can order it with different options and
Right.
we thought, and with the spirit of this house being so simple, let's just have it be just a single light.
okay, do you know if the door that is being put on the rear from the front, is that an original door?
Original to the house, 1925 circa,
Yes,
highly unlikely.
okay, because I have actually 2 of these Nantucket doors on my house, but my house is later than 1927. All right, I was just gonna say that if it was original, that the 6 panes would be more appropriate, but if you think it's not original, then I don't see a problem with the solid one piece of glass.
Good, yeah, thank you.
And
Okay.
I haven't, no, I guess that's it. That's
Okay.
it for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. Shirley, did you want to say something?
Can you hear me?
Wait a minute, I gotta get the.
Yeah.
Yes,
I can't.
You hear me now?
yes.
Yep.
Okay, I don't hear too well on this phone, but I'll do my best. But I think the question has already been answered. When there's an addition on the left side of the house and you have 2 cars there, my question was, where are they going to be parked? And I think the answer has already been said. But if you have 2 cars and they're in front of the house, I don't think that's permissible. But my question is, could a driveway be put on the right side? You have some space on the right side of the house. I don't know whether that would have to go before the zoning or whatever, but I was just wondering if there's another way that you can park the cars other than in front of the house. And also, this question is directed to Tom, and I know he asked this question in good faith, but to talk about having drugs and marijuana and so forth in that parking lot, that's kind of an offense to those of us who live here. And I think that the police and the borough, no, enough to borough and township, but the police and Princeton take care of that. And I don't think there's going to be any problem for the people who live in that space. And I welcome them, and you're going to be safe. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Shirley. There's no room for a parking spot on that right side because the fence that's there is located a very nice, generous amount from my client's house. They're very happy about that, but the actual property line is less than 4 feet off that corner. So there isn't enough room. You know, I think that either another car would fit in front on the driveway. We can't really determine that right now. Or a visiting car would have to park in the front. There's always room there, as far as I can tell. And there's loads of room across the street, that row of parking, you know, for the community garden. It's always available. So I think this is one of these rare occasions when it's just not a concern at all.
Yeah, there's a ton of parking there. I've dropped kids off at the park there a lot of times, and there's always parking there. Christine, did you have another question?
No, oh, sorry, I should have taken that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
All
I
right.
have a question.
Yeah, Tom.
I just want to acknowledge Shirley's helpful comment, and no offense was obviously meant on my part. What is offending me, however, is the temporary school building that's across the street and the industrial traffic that's right in their neighborhood. And even the community garden across the way is looking a little bit industrial. Are those 2 properties also in the historical district that we govern? And if they are, with Leighton on the line, can we also be recommending, as we are ourselves articulating particulars about compliance for the good residents of this project, likewise assistance from the township to beautify or generally improve that particular area, which is, I'm sorry to say, frankly, an eyesore to this particular citizen.
Well, I think Leighton is, oh yeah, he's here.
Yep, I'm here. Wow, Tom, you said a mouthful there. Let me, and I'm gonna apologize because I'm getting ready to get in my car and head toward Princeton Junction, but I want to just back up for a minute, if you will. And echo Shirley's comments before I answer your question. What you, Tom, I know you're a good man with a good heart, but the comments you made a little earlier were not only offensive, with all due respect, but and I'm glad that Ed Schmier is on the line here. We have to be careful as members of boards, committees, and commissions to allow people to come in and direct their effort on what it is they're trying to accomplish through the HPC. What you did was you did a redirect. When there was no conversation at all about marijuana or nefarious activities, you brought that into the conversation. And the question would arise, if this was being done on Westcott Road, would that question have been asked? So I wanted to break in here because this is the lesson for all of us. You know, implicit bias is a dangerous situation. It's a dangerous thing. And quite frankly speaking, I know for myself, and I know for my colleagues and the mayor, that's not what we want here in Princeton. So just, it's a teachable moment, but we got to be careful when we as board members don't let the conversation direct itself, but we kind of go out of our way to do damage to people without really recognizing and knowing it. So that's just something I had to say, number one. Number two,
this conversation is getting a little intense and accusatory. I'd like to suggest that we take this into executive session to air whatever issues are on our minds here. I am not quite accepting the inference that there's implicit bias here. I'm just thinking about concerns. We went through a whole debate about marijuana in the township previously. So
well, I would
just
really like, okay, let's just hold on a second. We're at a HPC meeting.
Right.
Whatever session you want to go into, you got to do it after the HPC meeting and after our Zoom. So,
all right. So
we need to finish. I think everyone has made their point. I definitely think everyone's understood each other. And I think we need to focus on this application. These people have children and they need to get back to their lives. So we need to not do that at their expense. So let's just keep going here. And I appreciate Leighton's comments and I appreciate, Tom, your comments, but let's focus on the architecture and let's focus on the application and let these poor people go.
okay, sorry about that.
David, did you want to make a comment?
I do, and I very much in favor of the project. I understand the difficulties of trying to figure out how to keep it within the traditional guidelines of where parking is. It's a tight neighborhood. Changes happen to the neighborhood that took probably some of the flexibility away. When you've got a giant parking lot next to you, it's not like you can then park not in front of the house, those kinds of issues. What I'd like to make the comment is that as we're all giving input to the community master plan, let's take that concept that someone said, how can we soften the way that this neighborhood abuts the municipality's yards and just put that on the list of something that should be followed up on.
Thank you, David. That's a great idea. About the application, before we go to the master plan, let's talk about the application and let's try to wrap this up. So in terms of this application, are there any suggestions? Are there any kind of other comments? And as far as landscape goes, is there a feeling we should leave this to the owner? If there's a feeling we want to, get involved with that, fine. My feeling is we should leave this to the owner because they have enough to deal with. So I don't know. What are the other thoughts on the landscape?
I second that.
If I could advocate for myself for a second on that one too. I don't know, gardens and gardening are really important to me and to my personal history. My grandparents, actually both sets were master gardeners from the area. And one set of them were, they ran a daylily farm with over 1,000 cultivars of lilies, and the rhododendra I was speaking about before and the hydrangea are actually cuttings that I took from their farm when we had to sell it when they went into Alzheimer's care. So like they're really important to me, and I would really like some control over building my home to look the way I want it to.
Well, now I feel even more strongly that the owners should be able to control their own landscape in this
Yeah.
situation, especially because of the tight lot and the conditions around it.
Agreed.
Are there any other questions, suggestions about the project? And if not, given Elizabeth's comments, I think do we need to answer anything for lighting or any of the other comments that Elizabeth made?
There is a section, her item 6 lists a number of things that she's asked me to address. I'm just going to go through them really quickly because they're all very straightforward. May I do that?
Okay, yeah.
Will any trees require removal as part of the project improvements? No. What color is the foundation cement parging? It's going to be cement color. Probably going to be a warm gray, but pretty much, a kind of the natural color of the cement. Porch steps were falling apart, and there was no note about their being replaced, but we got to do it. We've got to do it. We got to. You saw the photograph. It's really pretty appalling and bordering on dangerous, and so we'll use the same dimensional members as we're using for the balustrade. I will provide a detail for that. The new steps would be wood steps and not those concrete steps. They'll be much more appropriate, I think, for the neighborhood. And they'll be code compliant, but very simple balusters, same dimension, same spacing. The front porch decking, we are thinking of replacing it with a native black locust. We have a source for black locust, which is really durable, rot resistant material, and it will probably be a transparent or very light stain. So it'll be the natural thing. And it's the decking for the front porch. New side porch posts, decking and steps. They're drawn there. If you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. The asphalt shingles, this is a little tricky. This is the kind of thing where the roofing subcontractor would get up there, make his best guess as to what material was used and match it. I'm guessing if you need a name and manufacturer, it would probably be GAF, the Marquee Weather Max in charcoal color. So you can quote me on that if you need to, but I found that is a good material. It's probably a good match. And the front door, you've already gotten that explanation that the existing front door just gets shifted and reused at the side door. Sustainable measures, I kind of can't help it. There won't be any plastic AZAC, none of that in this project. The heating and cooling will be by heat pump, which is about as efficient as we can get. And not only the new addition, but wherever we have the opportunity to properly insulate the existing house, we'll do so. So that's about it. I had one question kind of for Elizabeth here. The idea of a new street tree, that was a bit of a surprise. I think that a great place for that, for at least one of them, would be, do you remember that first photo where you can see the the parking area for the community park playground, there's a strip there that's a fairly generous strip between the street and the parking area. And it would be a great end of John Street, like to get some fabulous sugar maple there,
Right.
for example, would be really nice. It will offer a sense of kind of psychological protection for Evan and Annie. And I think that's kind of a great suggestion. I don't know how to go about doing that, but I guess I could contact the arborist whose name escapes me right now.
Taylor. So,
Right.
so one of the reasons that comment came up is because I thought that your driveway was also being relocated.
Oh,
So
right.
I thought that there was going to be trees removed and, there's that 1-to-1 ratio.
Oh, right.
So you would have to compensate somewhere. So
Well-
that's one of the reasons that, if there was an opportunity, it'd be great if you were able to.
Well, you inadvertently stumbled on a great suggestion, but it would be, that would be the town's property. But it seems like a terrific spot.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
All right.
Uh,
So thank you. I feel like we've covered just about everything. Are there other suggestions, comments? And yes, Christine.
I was just going to say that it's a really great project and it's going to be beautiful.
Oh, thanks, Christine. Thank you.
Great.
That's wonderful. So does that mean you're making a motion?
I cannot.
Oh, thank,
There's a full complement of the board.
all
I'll move
right.
it.
Okay, Tom has made a motion to approve. Is there a second? Roger is seconding. Okay, Elric's thirding. He's got the DR delay going on there.
Oh, my gosh, that
Yeah, I know.
explains it.
Yeah, we feel so sorry for
I
him.
was thinking, what a hardy fellow.
Yeah.
Don't rub it in. Thank you, Elric.
Yeah, it's like 30 degrees here. Anyway, so Elizabeth, I guess we'll go by a roll call.
Okay. Miss Satterfield, hold on, I'm gonna hold the phone up. Miss Satterfield?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. we hear you.
Mr. Shatskin?
Yes,
Ms. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Pyle? Mr.
I-
Pyle?
Yes, he's raising his
Okay.
hand.
Okay, Mr. Endersby?
Yes.
Mr. Shore?
Yes.
And Ms. Capizoli?
Yes. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Good luck.
Wait, I have a comment. Thank you very much, board.
Um,
I'm going to make this really quick, but we were required to do a pretty elaborate extra bit of noticing because this project was deemed to be a partial demolition. And I want to protest that, not only because it was a pain in the neck for us that I thought was really unnecessary, but for other people in this neighborhood to have this additional burden of cost and time. It's kind of a waste of life unless it's something that's really compelling and necessary. And as an architect, when I'm doing a demolition drawing, I will note if something's being demolished, it's something like demolish existing screened porch or demolish existing second story and roof structure. But we say remove existing partition. And more germane to this conversation, create new opening in existing wall. That's not demolition. And in this case, this is a completely zoning compliant addition, right? We're allowed to do it, but we want it to be looked at for its historical appropriateness. And all of the demolition involved here is, in a sense, contained and concealed by this new addition. So it seems like a bureaucratic nicety that's unnecessary and burdensome. And I want to ask you, the board, to reconsider that and to be more pointed about what constitutes demolition or partial demolition, because if it becomes too petty like that, it really puts people off.
All right, I have a question for Ed. Ed, if there's an existing wall and you're just creating a new opening, is that a demolition?
No,
Oh, all right. So Elizabeth, Ed is saying that if you have an existing wall and you're creating a new opening, that's not considered a demolition.
Okay, I believe that we had some other applications where we had required that, so, you know, consistency was important. But
we probably have. And we've been working on the historic preservation ordinance definitions, right, with SHPO, because we're trying to get them to approve stuff. And we've been waiting for them to approve. It's taken for freaking ever. But we know that our definition of demolition needs to be revised. Because anything related to the work like this really doesn't, I don't think the framers of this original ordinance ever intended this to be demolition. Although Elizabeth makes the call in order to be careful that whatever approvals you get them all. And that's why we make you go through the drill. But I agree with Ron, we need to clean it up and we need to define it better. And I think Elizabeth and I will start working on that.
Good. Thank you so much for considering that. Really appreciate it. Good to see you all again.
Oh, thank you for bringing it up. Really appreciate it. And good luck with your project and with your garden.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're on.
All right. Okay, I have one or two other things. I'm just looking for the agenda, but I think it's member report time now, which is the planning board, master plan committee, subcommittee. So Christine, did you want to talk about that?
Okay, yes. The subcommittee met as a subcommittee, and Clifford Zink actually came to that meeting as well, in which we discussed different, excuse me, what?
Ed is signing off.
Oh, signing off. Oh, I thought Ed had something to say, sorry. And we went over various points of the existing master plan. And we went to certain kinds of detailing and different wording. And I asked everybody to provide, if anyone, I think I even said this at the last meeting, that everyone that could provide a list of proposed districts or properties, that we would welcome that very much. So actually David provided quite a list, and I also did some deletions because there were various demolitions or changes, and I added a lot to that list. So we met with Justin and Michael Sullivan of Clark Caton and Hints last Wednesday, and we went over the memo. I think everybody has a copy of that memo. And we, without going, you know, completely with this, I have notes, but Michael Sullivan, who's a planner, was supposed to provide us with an outline of what they wanted. And we have yet to receive that. And since he said that they wanted it in about, well, also, they're really looking to us to give them the information. I mean, they're not looking to provide anything. They're looking to see what we can give them. So I spent a good deal of time rewriting the whole master plan element. And I mean, I didn't rewrite it. I edited, I added, I deleted, I added new language. I changed things that had occurred because a lot of it is old, so that had to be changed. And I added David's list and any other property that somebody suggested. And we still have time if you think of something, or if Elric, you can provide us with those lists. So I have that and I mentioned that to them and they're looking forward to that. So I haven't sent it to Elizabeth because I just have a few more things to add. But they're really, look, they're not historic preservation specialists. They're land use planning, et cetera, and planning. So anyway, so I don't know, Elizabeth, you want to say something? You have your hand up.
Oh, sorry. Actually, I had my hand up prior to you going full circle on this, but and I'll just circle back to that later after we're done with this. No, I think that Christine, covered that pretty well. I mean, the subcommittee had worked together to kind of go through the elements and we had decided that instead of giving them all the detail, because we had such a short time frame, that we were just going to give them a general information on what we felt needed to be done and some detail when we had it, but we weren't going to kill ourselves. And then we were going to provide the additional information later, which happened to work out fine. But again, as Christina said, we are looking for that outline, and I can't remember what date that they told us. I think that they wanted to publish something like a draft in April. Is that correct, Christine? I think they talked
remember, I thought they wanted a complete draft that they had finished in June.
Oh, in June.
And
Okay.
he said, and when I asked him about how soon do you want the information from us, he said about 2 weeks. Well, I mean, so I went ahead and did the work, and I'm just, I mean, nobody's seen it but me. Of course, we're going to share that, but I'm just saying that I want to be prepared because I don't want to have to be working after midnight every night. So,
Right. We don't want to be surprised again.
right. We do not want to be surprised.
But, I really appreciate, Christine doing a lot of the work, and it's great because she knows the history, which is probably unfortunate for her.
I know she's too qualified.
Mhm. So, but, we plan to get together and go over it whenever she's ready. And, Elric, when he comes back, I think he's going to look for that list that he had also created a bit back and incorporate that into it, But I think that the one thing we don't want to do is we don't have it too large because they'll just say, let's just cut it down. This is like too much. So I think we have to be thoughtful in what we put on that list.
Agreed. So David, did you have a comment?
You're muted.
Yeah, I do have a comment, and I had a lot of fun creating the list, but that was partly because Elric taught us how to do it last time around. I think I want to make sure that we cover or include things more about policy. And I think that the balance on what's happening with growth in our town and where it strikes historic resources is right in the center of town or the most densely populated areas. And those are also some of the historic districts, or many of the historic districts. And in those cases, we're asking property owners with no compensation, with no reward, with no recognition even, to do the right thing with their buildings. But if we turn around and don't scream and holler and stamp our feet about traffic impact from development in these areas, that really is an inequity, I think. I don't know how to express it better than that. But when we were talking about the seminary project 2 years ago, or whatever it was, I remember the thing that impressed me the most negatively was the traffic that was going to be made even worse in these areas. And if I put on my real estate hat for a minute, traffic to a lot of people is something they just really don't want to deal with. And therefore there's fewer buyers for the properties and the values start to trickle down. And that just seems like, if nothing else we can do for these property owners who are doing a good job, we should be on the outlook for how do we make traffic issues less demanding. And then, like the example of the 344 Nassau Street, where a certain amount of the parking requirement would be erased because of the overlay, that's really putting a burden on the surrounding properties. And I'll be quiet now.
All right, well, I guess I'd like to encourage everybody to stay involved with the master plan, not only as the commission, but as individuals, because there are surveys you can take. There's all kinds of online ways to do input into the master plan. And so I'd highly encourage everybody as an individual to go to the municipal website and look at the master plan section. And there's a place to put in comments. There are also going to be some open houses, I believe in April and May. And those are also opportunities in person where we can have an impact as individuals in areas that aren't completely specific to historic preservation. So like personal concerns about traffic or municipal issues in other areas. So I definitely think there's an individual level of participation that can happen as well as on a, from the commission. All right, David, did you want to say more?
I just want to understand what you're saying. Yeah, those are concerns that I'm passionate about, but are we saying that from a historic preservation point of view, we're not going to say that,
Well,
development and traffic is bad for our districts?
I mean, I think we can make a general comment, but when we're looking at an application, I don't think we can focus on traffic as a main component of the application, because if the application is going to the zoning board or the planning board, that's kind of where the expertise lies. Whereas we're giving our opinion on the historic component of it. Yeah, Christine.
I would differ with that because the HPC has to look at site plans, and part of site planning is traffic and parking. And it, with an ordinary house, it's only if it comes in terms of zoning and therefore where it is located, which will affect the property from the right of way or from another property. But if it's a site, if it's a building with parking or you really do have to talk about traffic.
But we're advising, in those cases, we're advising the zoning board or we're advising the planning board. So we can say we have concerns about traffic, but I'm just saying we make more impact when we focus on the historic preservation component. But obviously, we can say whatever we want.
Well, have we heard much from those other boards about their concern about parking and some of these things that have been talked about? I feel like we have to bring it up.
Well, yeah, and obviously Elizabeth's been to a million zoning board hearings where parking is constantly being talked about. Okay. In applications, as well as the planning board, which I would say next to stormwater, parking is probably the most common topic that is being discussed. So it comes up all the time. Yeah, Leighton, you have your hand up. But you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, in relation to David Shore's comment, I know we have Ed Schmier here. My only commentary of that would be, David, that you mentioned when you put your real estate hat on, and I think therein lies the rub. I think that HPC has pretty creative parameters, but you know, when you start to look at values of homes, I don't think that's what's being asked of HPC when they're looking at applications.
Mhm.
And, you know-
Or the impact on the value of their homes as it would relate to traffic. I think that's a stretch, with all due respect.
Well, one of the things that we had talked about earlier was having some kind of retreat with Ed, where we
Mhm.
talk about how we look at applications, you know, what are the parameters, what is the focus? And so, Elizabeth, maybe you want to just say a couple words about that?
Yes, I thought it would be a good idea. I mean, other boards have done this as well. It's, you know, it's an opportunity for everyone to get together and ask questions outside the public recording. You can ask questions, you can freely make comments. And I think that it's worthwhile for the commission to do this. I don't think that the commission has ever done this before. And I think it's a good opportunity for a lot of questions to be asked and answered. And
So-
we're actually waiting for Elric to come back before we try to schedule something.
Okay, so.
I'd like to
we'll-
second that motion. That's an excellent idea. I think a way to harmonize all of our work, as Ed Schmier would point out to us, we are legally bound by the regulations under which we are operating. And I think Julie's got an excellent point, which is to say that we preserve our effectiveness if we stay on our mark. However, we're all citizens in this wonderful town, and we are not insensible to the intersectional effects, may I say, of all the various elements that affect us here in town. So a retreat is an excellent idea to help us determine what, to David's point, might be the policy considerations that we might think about as a corporate body, and how can we better be guided and also reflect these concerns otherwise beyond our very strict focus on history.
Right, well, and we'd hope that Ed would join us to give us sort of the legal parameters there. Yeah, Christine.
I was just gonna say, we should look at the ordinance in regards to some of these comments and questions, because we'll find answers there.
Yeah, and that's why we want Ed to be there too. All right, so we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can with dates on that. Elizabeth, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, but if we're done with that, are we done with that part of it?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to note that we forgot to ask if anyone had any public comments.
Oh,
We
shoot,
have- we
okay.
have 2 people in the, as participants in the public. Oh, one is now one.
Okay. Does anyone in the public have any comments they'd like to make? And I apologize for skipping that, so my apologies. Any hands up?
No hands are up. So if anyone in the public would like to speak, just please place. your
Oh, how cute.
electronic hand. Oh, my
Cute.
gosh.
How old are they?
You're muted, Elric. You're muted, Elric.
That is the
Sorry,
cutest
she's one of
puppy.
5 little female, almost 5-week-old puppies, twice as
Oh.
big as her sisters.
Oh my
Oh,
What are they?
I've got something I gotta do. I'll come back when I do.
okay. Oh, how cute. Oh, my goodness. Can
Um,
she be our mascot?
Oh my gosh, so funny. No hands are raised, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's kind of all we have.
I have
think
one
that
more quick item, if I may, Julie.
Yes, yes.
As a member of the Princeton Battlefield Society Board, I've been invited to something called the America 250 Bucks Central Jersey Coordinating Group Meeting. However, the mail that came to me was addressed to me also as a member of the Princeton Historical Preservation Commission, as well as a active Freemason doing history down in Trenton. So I bring this to you, the board's attention. This is a meeting of all volunteers, all in various ways related to history in Mercer County and in Central Jersey and Bucks County. And there's coming together, a volunteer meeting. It's really a dialogue to discuss in what ways can all these various groups coordinate their activities and keep each other informed as we head up to the America's 250th anniversary. So since I've been addressed with this invitation as a member of this esteemed commission, I bring this to the commission's attention. This is a meeting that is being held at Morven under Morven's chairmanship. Tomorrow, the 21st of March, from 9:30 to 11:30 in their Stockton Center. So I'm wearing 3 hats at that meeting, but I did want to bring it to this board's, this commission's attention in case, Julie, you think anyone else would like to be there, or there should be special instructions. Not that this is going to resolve any particular issues. It's really a way to open up dialogue amongst all the various intensely and even tangentially involved historically related committees around the county and the area for the 250th. So I bring this to your attention.
Thank you. Well, I'd ask if you could just maybe report at our next meeting. And also, I know that our my friend Don Stryker from the Princeton Friends School and the Princeton Friends meeting is also going because they're neighbor to the battlefield. So you could say hi to him. And
Okay.
and I think it would just be really helpful to get information. Elizabeth, did you want to comment?
Not on this. Thank you.
Okay. So if anyone, it's open to everyone,
An open
right?
meeting. So anybody
Okay.
else on this commission who would like to go, it'll be tomorrow at March 21st, 9:30 to 11:30 at Morven. See you there.
Right. And yeah, and my friend Don Strike will be there too.
And maybe over 100 organizations have been invited to this event.
Yeah.
So
It's going to be a big gathering for sure. Okay. So Elizabeth.
I was wondering, there was a meeting on Saturday that has to do with the redevelopment of the Princeton Theological Seminary. I was only there for the last 15 minutes. I had the timing off, but Roger had gone and I thought maybe he could share what they talked about there. And then they do have a follow-up meeting for those members who might want to go to the subsequent meeting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Roger.
This was billed as a community round table, although there were very few tables, none of them round, held by consultants to the town. There's a redevelopment planner and a redevelopment attorney. So this is common when there's an area in need of redevelopment designated, which, as we know, happened, I guess it's 4 years ago or 4 or 5 years ago now, on the tenant Roberts Whitley campus, TRW campus of the seminary. So this was a very preliminary meeting by these 2 consultants, one a lawyer, one a planner, to go over with, it turned out, about 100 participants. I'd say 85% of them were neighbors of the tenant campus. And maybe Leighton can backstop me. Ed's not here to do it. There are a couple of things I didn't quite understand. And I have a message out to Justin to see if he can clarify things to me. But they laid out the process, and according to my notes, the process, and if you look at, I sent everybody copies of the slides that these 2 gentlemen presented. According to their outlining of the process, the municipality actually has to adopt a redevelopment plan, or they can negotiate and approve a redevelopment agreement. And it was also mentioned at the meeting that the property is still currently owned by the seminary, which was not what my common knowledge was. And again, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So it seems like we're at the early stages of what's going to continue to be a longish process. There's another meeting on May 6th, another Saturday, 10 to 12, where they're going to go over this or go into it further. We heard a lot from neighbors about traffic, to key in back on that. We heard a lot about historical appropriateness or fitting into the neighborhood. And frankly, the consultants also raised the importance of master plan issues and they brought up a couple of the things that we've looked at from that visioning survey, where the public was by and large in favor of keeping our historical character and maintaining neighborhood character. So all these overlying issues are pertinent to this specific redevelopment in that part of town. There was a lot of NIMBYism, people complaining about people wanting rather that, you know, things to be done as of right. There were 45 families there before. They didn't want more than 45 families there in the future. That we heard that from a couple of people. That I don't think that's going to happen, but I think these consultants, to my way of thinking, seem pretty knowledgeable and well versed in the process, and I think it seems to be in good hands on the professional side.
Wow, that's good to hear. Thanks for going. I really appreciate that.
Welcome.
Yeah, so we'll keep up to date on that one too. Yes,
But it does-
Christine.
I was
Sorry.
just going to say, if people know that there are going to be meetings that we might attend, community meetings, so maybe they could send out an email to everybody as soon as they know about it, so that we don't have other things scheduled in the can't go. That's all I'm going to suggest.
Well, if anybody hasn't signed up for the municipal newsletter, which is now costing us $7,000 a week, one should do that. You can go on the website and sign up for the newsletter. You can also sign up for police alerts, so you know what roads are closed and things like that. But the newsletter does preview all the meetings.
Right.
And
I'm just saying, like the one that Tom mentioned may not have been in that.
yeah, definitely, that's a different fish,
Oh, you
kettle
know,
of
there may
fish.
be other things that are not in the newsletter.
Good point.
I'd
Right.
just like to let everyone know that on April 30th at 4 p.m. At the municipal building, there's going to be an open meeting for Community Park South. So I can send an email out to Elizabeth that she can copy everyone on.
That would be great. Thank you. Okay, and David, you had a comment?
Yeah, what was the deal on only having a week's notice on that meeting? Is that consistent with Princeton policies, or I think a lot of people probably went to the meeting with a little more feistiness, perhaps, because they felt like, what's going on here? I didn't hear about this until the very last minute. People I know that
this-
are well connected, finding out 2-3 days ahead of time.
You're talking about the seminary meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think that
David,
someone
are you
probably
saying
mentioned
that meeting was only noticed with 7-day notice?
That's when I first heard about it.
I would challenge that, because I've had that on my iPhone for probably, I think, at least 3 weeks. But
you were
you know,
a council member.
well, okay, well, I'll certainly check that. I thought there was more notice given than just 1 week, but I mean, the room was packed.
Yeah.
And you know, as Roger said, Roger, you're not a tough act, you're an easy act to follow, because you were very thorough in your report. But one thing I would just add is, almost to a person at the meeting, everyone thanked the attorney and the planner that was there, simply because there was communication. And that's an effort, you know, that is near and dear to the hearts. We, you know, mayor and council want to make sure that people have a chance for input, and that is exactly what's going to continue to happen on the tenants campus. So, and I would invite and encourage everyone here on the Historic Preservation Commission to attend these meetings, because there's good information being exchanged. You know, Roger didn't talk about a statement that was made by Tom Pinio, who admitted that he was a budding developer. But, you know, we talk about NIMBYism in Princeton, and it's something that really, you know, I think people should pay attention to. And I'm not going to stay on this soapbox, but let me just say that, things, are going to change. Seasons change, everything changes. There, what we know now is what was there is not there. There's going to be something new there. And I just hope that the people that come there who abut the property in all of their haste to be negative about what's being done, just gives a little opening for the possibility that if they work with the municipality and with whoever the developer could be to enhance the site, and not to say we don't want anything, but let's manage what we do want, it could just be better than it was before. And that's my message. Let's try to be more hopeful than always saying change is not good. Sometimes change is good and you have to give it a chance.
Well,
Yeah.
we appreciate having a liaison like you, Leighton, on our commission, so that we can have this dialogue. It's a really good thing.
Our
Thank you.
mobile liaison, right?
Yeah, our
Yeah,
mobile
yeah,
liaison. Our traveling liaison.
Trying. Got to stay in touch. And I'm sorry I was late today. I had trouble getting on.
Oh, no problem.
And
All right.
and Tom, let's talk after this meeting.
Absolutely, Leighton. I'd like to see you
Okay.
personally and
Okay, got love-
make sure we are eye to eye together. 'cause
I
I'm
got
sure
love
we
for
are.
you, man. You know that.
Oh, this is good. Well, on that beautiful note, I'd like to ask if anyone else has any other news. Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I want to see more puppies.
Oh, yeah. We lost Alric.
Yeah, we lost them.
He says there's 5 of them.
In that case, I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, thanks, Christine.
Aw.
All right. Oh,
Have a
my
good day,
puppy.
everybody.
Carolyn has her.
Thank you. Bye.
Charlotte, okay.
Okay, all
care.
dogs can attend. All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.